A Loneliness-Existential Loneliness Guide. Chapter 1. Life is a solitary journey. Society's expectations cause some loneliness. 1. Loneliness is a taboo topic. Even though we're all a bunch of loners walking around stuck in our solitary heads, to admit that we're not intimately connected to others, which most of us really aren't despite pretending to be, is considered to be so uncool that no one dares breathe a word of it except for Christians, who are the only people brave enough to acknowledge it and try to do something about it by creating social communities where people can go to feel comforted and loved. Is loneliness the biggest unsung epidemic ever? I was listening to a Christian guy give a sermon on friendships among men. He said real friendships are rare. We can't show we're vulnerable about anything, that we can talk to others about how we're really feeling. It has to be superficial stuff. That's why professional sports is successful. It gives men something to talk about. When I was in my early 20s, I remember feeling lonely if I wasn't paired up in some kind of great mythical soulmate relationship. Then when I hit about 27, I had this great revelation. I am who I am in my purity, the way I was born, away from everything I was ever brainwashed by from the time I had first consciousness at about 4 years old. My life was about the pure me in my free spirit. They indoctrinated me, everything that was shoved over my pure soul by society from the time I was about 4 years old. This includes all the Beatles love songs I used to hear at Reggie's store while playing pinball as a kid, and all the love movies and TV shows I saw. I got infatuated and fell in love, but I fell out of love too. I started listening to the pure me away from all my cultural indoctrination. I never got lonely anymore. I stopped listening to all of society's ideas, lies and bullshit. When you listen to yourself, you can make a contract with your Creator God. I say I'll be the best person I can be the way you created me. I'm natural. I do what's natural to me. I don't get swayed by society's expectations, like the expectation of being in a perfect monogamous relationship. I accept myself as is. Loneliness is not big deal to me in the grand scheme of things, because being alone in one's head, known to no one but you, is the natural human journey. We connect with others as we go through our life journeys here and there. Most connections are superficial. A few are intimate. Harry Chapin's song Circle made me think of a circle with two people on it going round and round. They connect, separate, connect, separate, and that's how it works. Connect for a while, you're alone for a while, connect for another while, etc. Back in my day as a young man, life was a straight issue. When you hit your 20s, you were expected to couple and marry. Nowadays, we got the guys saying I don't be in a relationship with anybody. I have no shame about living my life solo. These guys are called MGTOWs, men going their own way. Incels, involuntary celibacy, guys that girls don't date. Red-pilled guys, happily single guys. Black-pilled guys, guys who are single, not happy about it but know they probably won't attract a girl. How much of loneliness is natural versus how much is cultural indoctrination? As a young man, my culture made me feel lonely if I was not paired up, but at the same time I know my cat wants to be close to me all the time. Most of us want some connection with something else that's alive. The question is, to what degree? Do I expect to have a heart-to-heart talk with kindred spirits and soulmates? Not really at my age. Most older people are tired. They got their addictions. They're set in their ways. I'll stay cool with my life and enjoy it until I die, but I'm not some lonely guy looking for heart-to-heart companionship. If you want companionship, go to different churches until you find one where the people are very friendly and community-oriented. A part of Christian philosophy is to have community where people hang around together. I'm a Catholic by upbringing, but many Catholic churches are not as sociable as some of the born-again churches where they accept everyone and they're always for new converts. Some older men go to the Philippines. Cebu City and Angela City are modern cities. They marry 20-year-olds and have children with them. You can find them on YouTube with terms like Philippines expat. Society's expectations cause some loneliness too. If I'm dealing with people, my radar is out to subtly try to discover what their center of life is, what motivates them. It could be anything from donuts to a sense of purpose someone feels was given to them by God. I look for common ground with me. I live to release the natural power inside of me. I sense loneliness, or at least a feeling within people that something is missing, there is something that they isn't getting somehow. I sense it in parents with several kids. I sense with bigs hots, people with power and money. Every several months I either go to unshackled.org or go on YouTube looking for Unshackled playlists. They are radio plays done by the Pacific Garden Mission in Chicago about people's lives. They're good because they're honest. People talk about what they went through. Loneliness is a common theme, trying to fill the emptiness within. It's common. Of course, we don't talk about it because it would admit failure, like you're not one of those glossy, happy, perky people on TV. I understand that everybody has a social face and a real face. I enjoy my life no matter what because I realize this is my life. If I don't enjoy it, it's my fault, so I don't care about loneliness. I'm happy as is. I think there is a huge unspoken epidemic of lonely, misunderstood people everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're the head of a family surrounded by a spouse and kids, or a big shot with 2,000 employees. People routinely feel unconnected to other people, unconnected to themselves, and unconnected to the divine God inside of themselves. I know at least part of the reason why. Love shows and movies always end with a perfect moment, a perfect connection between a guy and a girl frozen in time. Family TV shows always have everybody united for the common cause, the family, at least the ones I watched as a kid. The Waltons lived in the country. They all had to do chores to survive, like chop wood, grow a garden, etc. This does not exist in modern cities. In the real world, especially in the modern world, everyone has different agendas. Take a look at a typical family. The father works, plays golf and watches sports on TV. The mother reads romance novels and shops for clothes to try to look good. Each kid owns at least one electronic gadget. Each has their own fantasies and dreams. On TV, the Waltons dealt with issues that concern the family. In real life, everyone is doing their own thing. Life goes on and on. You cannot shut it off. It does not end like a TV show does with everything resolved. When I was in monogamous relationships, the girls always complained about two things. 1. Not enough physical time spent together. 2. Not enough of an intense emotional commitment day after day. In the movies, the guy gets the girl, they embrace, it's a perfect moment frozen in time. People want utter, total, absolute intimacy, a close, intense embrace where two bodies touch tightly. It's easy in the movies. In real life, people might get this a few times during the courtship process, then never get it again. In real life, I got bills to pay, I get tired, I got my own fantasies, and I'm driven by an inner code that has nothing to do with romantic love. Romantic love to me would at best be 25% of my life. I'm not saying that I represent all men, but men have things to do beyond romance. Girls want a big show of commitment and time spent together all the time. This is why so many girls in relationships still feel lonely. Guys in general will not match what the girl wants out of them. The typical father is seen as the breadwinner by his wife and kids. Other than that, there is often no emotional depth. It was like this guy on a TV reality show. He came home. The only one who greeted him was the dog. Everybody else was there but busy doing their own thing. Guys get rich and powerful in the world but still feel misunderstood. They want somebody to feel what they do and touch that common ground, but in the world of work, relations are too formal for that. People want to be understood, felt, touched, embraced, and held tightly for who they are and in spite of it. They want to be unconditionally loved, and they want it all the time. Pets can give you that love. I think there are a few loving people around. I think most people think they are warm, loving people, but I believe it is massive self-delusion. Modern capitalist pop culture entertainment uses the "you are a star, you are special, you deserve a treat" idea to sell product. Virtually everyone in modern Western society who watches a lot of pop culture entertainment is a self-centered to selfish to greedy to evil narcissist. People wonder why they feel lonely. They should ask themselves how self-centered to selfish they are. What about all that texting, tweeting, Facebook profile editing and all that other stuff? Does that make a person feel less lonely? It's a very weak substitute for the true intimate love people want, but because it is all they can get right now, they'll take it. The problem is that all those things we do to try to relieve loneliness don't really help, because we want that deep intimate connection we see frozen in time at the end of a love movie. Loneliness Essay 1. How much loneliness is natural? How much loneliness is caused by a culture that's constantly telling you to be in love with all the love songs, love movies, loving couples in commercials, etc. We want a perfect love with one or more people that lasts a lifetime, but regardless of whether you get it or not, you as an individual are always there, stuck in your head alone. Loneliness is as much cultural indoctrination as it is a natural inherent part of our nature. Cultural indoctrination makes it seem much worse than it actually is, because it is the human condition to be alone, stuck in your head. If you accept that this is the reality of your life and get on with trying to live a great one, you'll be a lot better off than all the lonely hearts, both married and single, neurotic about not being loved or connected enough. Society has conditioned us to feel empty if we don't feel as though we're connected to another person, a group, an organization, etc. This fear of being alone is so bad that it's a deep neurosis in millions of people, especially women. They feel really bad if they're alone with no one around to feel connected to, and often fall to pieces, but to me, it's all typical human weakness and foolishness. You're always stuck with you alone. That's the existential human condition. When you connect to your own identity and live by it, you have stability and peace within. You're not neurotic about anything. You accept your life and the human condition in general. If you can feel comfortable in your own skin and live by a personal standard that always keeps you active, inspired, entertained and stimulated, you win the game of life. It's your unique right of time, and you should do exactly as you feel within your soul, rather than playing some societal image game or trying to conform to society's ideals of success, coolness, and happiness. These are all delusions created by society to make you constantly feel neurotic that you're never quite rich enough, attractive enough, popular enough, or have enough status to match some illusory in-crowd standard out there. So the game of capitalism is to get you to destroy yourself trying to reach society's version of success, happiness and coolness in order to make you a quiet, pacified, easily managed eternal consumer. The truth is that nobody really gives a damn about how cool or successful you are, unless they're either a pop culture flake who thinks there's a mythical in-crowd out there that they want to be part of, or thinks they can get something out of you. In general, they're too busy living in their own delusion, worrying about their images rather than thinking about how cool and happen you are, while enlightened, free people see past all the bull and live by what they feel in their souls. I wake up every morning alone in my head, just like you. It's like this every morning. It never changes. There's nothing I can do to change that fact of life, even when I have one or more lovers, kindred spirits, relatives, friends, and soulmates around me. For me, because I'm enlightened, I know right away that I have no choice in what I must do if I'm to honor myself for the individual human being I want to be, which is to go off right away and release some of that natural inspired energy my God endowed me with. This is what I do every single day of my life in order to reach that certain standard of expenditure and expression that makes me feel really good to great about my life on any given day. This process never ends. You never reach a high state of consciousness, have a great feeling, then stay there for life. You have to keep recreating it by attempting to purge your energy to reach your limits, or as some people call it, to free yourself from the generic mundanity of the human condition in order to metaphorically fly for a while. This is why some people run every day, some bang their drums, some write, some are driven to create something, some are extreme activists. It's the passion of the soul unleashed, but it's not enough to release it here and there. The enlightened people know that in order to stay inspired, they have to purge it all the time. For everyone who's not enlightened, regardless of whether they feel loved or not, if they don't understand that this is the only formula for well-being, happiness and transcendence, and don't live to honor themselves by constantly intensely releasing natural, potential, inspired, hedonistic, sensual and loving energy, they will be generic human beings. They will not have stellar feelings about themselves or within themselves, regardless of how loved they think they are, whatever material possessions they have or whatever praises the world sings at them, because it's really all about the journey in your head, which is the mission control that propels you to action, which should be the driving force of your life, some kind of high energy action to make you feel like you're taking your life for a great ride today. Most people simply do some activities that are not inspired nor from their souls, such that their day passes in a state of generic mundanity. The end result is that they don't release their natural energy, which sits inside of them unused and builds up over time, causing a sense of disharmony, emptiness, and self-loathing within, because they're not honoring their true selves. What we got is a bunch of people going to school, taking courses that are not really intrinsically interesting to them, working jobs or running businesses they don't really like, that don't tap into their store of natural inspired energy. The net result is a bunch of mundane, generic people running around, each living in pop culture, capitalist fantasies of their own creation, with their store of natural energy stuck inside of them unused, lurking in there like a spiritual cancer, while they continue to be battered and polluted by the capitalist pop culture media agenda when they watch TV, read magazines, listen to the radio, etc. Then they wonder why they feel empty and have what the system calls low self-esteem. The TV talk shows perpetuate this state of affairs by using all kinds of psychobabble, but never clearly understanding why, despite all of our technological advancements, we live in such a lost society with empty souls running around brainwashed by the system, not realizing they are detached from their true natures as individual human beings. Most of us are brainwashed to have a neurotic need to be liked by others so much that we constantly seek approval as a measure of self-worth. Then when we don't get it, we go to pieces. When you do this, you're giving others control over you. When you cease to be concerned about what others think of you and concern yourself with living a great life according to your own standards, other people can't manipulate you or make you feel guilty for not meeting their standard anymore. The other big one in relationships with people is the capitalist philosophy of trying to control others in the name of leadership, elitism, arrogance, power, money, and status. I say life is too short and you never really control anyone else anyway, because as soon as you're gone, like the boss of a company, everybody goes back to playing their own games. So why waste time trying to either fill other people's minds up with thoughts of how fabulous you are or trying to control them outright? Focus on living a great life for yourself. Everything from the liberal arts academic realms as opposed to the hard sciences, the pop culture entertainment industry, the mainstream media, religion, and New Ageism are all artificial constructs used to somehow control you or turn you into a good, pacified consumer who spends his or her money on these things thinking that they are there for the common good, which is your good, when they're really there for their own good, whilst trying to manipulate you into thinking they're there for your good. They are the master manipulators. It's everywhere you look. I'm not suggesting there's an organized conspiracy, just a loose alliance of like-minded forces who want to control the people to either sell them stuff or keep them stupid, brainwashed and pacified on the stuff they call pop culture entertainment, New Ageism, liberal arts knowledge, religion, etc. There is an intuitive wisdom within you. There is also knowledge and wisdom out there from mainstream forces and from other, alternative forces. I won't put down mainstream knowledge and wisdom with one broad stroke of a brush, just say be wary about everything. Question everything to see its true motive. Always follow the money, and above all, look elsewhere than just the mainstream media for whatever knowledge or wisdom you're looking for. Loneliness Essay 2. Citizen Kane was supposedly this big tycoon who did what he did in building his empire to try to get a sense of the mother's love he lost at a young age when he was taken from her. What about all these people desperate for love, so they marry some half-assed suitor they feel no love for, only like? Will that relieve your loneliness? No, it won't, but I guess it is better than being alone, or is it? People in general are average, half-assed people who meet another average, half-assed person. They marry, buy a bunch of stuff, have a few kids, get fat, and there is very little intimacy. This is why I believe most married couples are just as lonely as a lot of singles. It's like married but alone. I consider it a privilege to be alive and healthy enough to do what I do every day from the natural energy inside of me, but this is boring to most people. They want to go straight from nobody with no self-respect or accomplishments in life to deep, strong love. It rarely happens except in movies. Some nobody who has not done anything to develop themselves all of a sudden gets adored by some dreamboat. Average people without great looks, great bodies, great attitudes, or great accomplishments think they will meet some dreamboat because they saw it in thousands of love movies and TV commercials. I go for a walk with my dog almost every night. As we play in a big open field, I look up at the sky and think that the day I die, I hope I will still have the health to take my dog out for a walk to see the night sky with its sense of mystique and sacredness. That's as good as it gets, to get through life to old age unscathed with your body and mind intact. The best way to not be lonely is to have no delusional expectations about meeting some dreamboat who will change your life. You come out of the womb alone. You are always alone in your own head, then you die alone in your own thoughts. What is important between birth and death? Is it to release that adventure of untapped natural energy inside of you, or is to try desperately to find a movie kind of love? I live by my true nature. I have no delusions. I feel sorry for all the people sitting around feeling lonely because some dreamboat hasn't popped up. They create loneliness themselves rather than feeling good about their lives and running with it for whatever it's worth. Either way, if you have a great loving mate or you don't, it should all still be a great ride. If it's not, then it's you who are creating your feelings of loneliness. People surround themselves with other people because they think it will relieve the lonely, empty feeling they have. People socialize like crazy, hang out in bars, join clubs, become comedians, etc. But they are still alone inside their heads like everyone else. The way I got over loneliness was when I realized my allegiance to life is to the spirit inside of me given to me by my Creator God. I live to honor that. I can't feel lonely because I'm connected to the divine force in my soul. I always have this fixed base inside of me. I feel alone and get lonely, but that's life. Everybody feels alone sometimes. Loneliness Essay 3. In the book The Art of Happiness, the Dalai Lama says the solution to loneliness is to connect with anyone. Most lonely people are surrounded by family and friends, but they want that special person that will fit like a glove. Love the one you're with right now. Cultivate compassion or the ability to feel others. You can be lonely even in a crowd and still lonely after internet chat because it's not the spiritual intimate connection people want, to connect with someone in a total way, to be understood and express physical love. So despite all the technology out there, loneliness isn't going anywhere soon. No one wants to talk about it, no one wants to admit to feeling lonely, but most of us get lonely because by design, we're loners stuck in our heads and we want to connect with others to take the feeling away, which is why the search for love, constantly reinforced by corporate advertising which is always trying to sell you something to make you more desirable, beautiful, sexy, and appealing, will never, ever go away. Most people want an intimate love above all else in life. That's just the way it is. Friends, pets, food, material goods, booze, pop culture. Amusements cannot really fill the void of wanting to be in love for the types of people who want to be in love, which is not all people, because some people are perfectly happy in lifestyles that don't have romantic love in them. There are 3 songs out there that I can relate to because they talk about something I'm kind of lonely about, but I don't dwell on it much. I just keep going, trying to squeeze as much life out of my life as I can. I get lonely for the idealized, fun, easygoing times of my youth. I feel that I lived out the greatest youth that I could have for a guy without a silver spoon in his mouth, but now I see myself aging. My contemporaries have mostly moved on to responsible lives in some manner, generally taking on a family and a steady job. I still feel young but see a few wrinkles on my face and mourn for the youth that will never come again because that time has passed and I don't fit in anymore to the demographic of free, easygoing young people interested in exploring life, but then again, I'm over that anyway. I know exactly what I want out of life, but I still get sentimental for the good, old days now and then. Middle-aged people can't go around like young, easygoing bucks and babes curious about life because people are suspicious of their motives. Youth gives you a carte blanche pass to go anywhere unhassled. Now, that I'm middle-aged, it's not cool to go around acting like a 25-year-old, so what the hell am I supposed to do? Just keep living the best I can. The 3 songs that make me feel sentimental are Those Were the Days, Mary Hopkins. Seasons in the Sun, Terry Jacks. Alone Again Naturally, Gilbert O'Sullivan. All these songs were on the pop charts 30 or more years ago. When I hear them on the radio, as I occasionally do, I get the sentimental feeling of a distant youth that I want to hold onto forever, but those days are gone for most people my age, so I have to do it as best as I can and simply live in that space in my mind, forever young. My attitude to loneliness is that you're only lonely when you're by yourself and don't like the company, and I happen to love being in my own company, so people like me don't really get lonely much. My life is plenty interesting, worthy, inspired and tough all the time. Virtually every day, I go for a 10-mile run. That one act in itself is enough to keep you inspired about your life because there's no cheating, you have to be up to do it. You can't slack off ever. It takes a tough effort all the time. How can anyone feel lonely when they're doing something like that? The activity absorbs you. Loneliness is a matter of perception, thinking you need to be close to someone else and paired off in order to be happy, whereas if you accept life as is and choose to love life regardless of whether you're hitched or single, you will feel a lot better than people worried about the social stigma of being alone or actually feeling emotionally lonely just because they're alone, which we all are, going through life alone in our heads, known to none but us beyond the social masks every last one of us puts on, except for maybe a few kids, a few mentally challenged people and a few innocents. By this attitude to life, you will be able to attract someone a lot easier if that's what you want, which some people don't. They're happy as is single. Solitude is happiness in your own space, with your own identity and possibly an active resistance to an overwhelmingly indoctrinating, outside world. I purposely minimize some contact with the media and some people because I don't want these outside things to pollute my individual essence. I like my solitude to work on keeping my soul centered, which is worlds away from being lonely. It's all a matter of perception. Loneliness and solitude are both conditions of being alone, but one is happy, the other is sad. Loneliness is the fear of being alone and bored with life, not sharing your life with others. For some, being alone is frightening. For others, it's adventure. It's all a state of mind. We should be thankful we have the leisure time to actually be alone to do as we please. Loneliness Essay 4. The best cure for loneliness is to love yourself and find your own identity. Loneliness is the need to feel needed, loved, and reassured by someone, a feeling that you want to matter to someone special who you don't currently have as a friend or lover. There are 2 cures for loneliness: to be happy with yourself as is, which still leaves you a little empty because we all need contact, but this is the precursor to the second solution, to find someone like you who needs your love as much as you need his or her love. By being happy by yourself, you increase your chances of finding someone worthy who will be attracted to you. The way to find love is acknowledge that you're an imperfect person who needs love, drop your guard about trying to appear like an in-control person all the time, then go around living your life being real without any phony fronts. Loneliness is a sure sign that we know we need love in our lives. Another person can't take away your loneliness. You have to find happiness within yourself first. Society has a taboo against acknowledging the existence of loneliness. It seems to be the uncoolest thing around, to be lonely or admit to it. Everybody's gotta act cool like they're happening folks, even if they lie through their teeth about their lonely lives. Life for most people is working the job, going home and watching TV, getting drunk, going shopping or getting a pizza on the weekend, and that's it. It reminds me of that song put by the Police back in '80s, Message in a Bottle. At the end, there were 100 million bottles floating around out there, meaning everybody was lonely but no one would admit to it. Everybody on the entire planet has been lonely at one time or another, that's a fact. There are 90 million singles in the United States. Many feel lonely sometimes. I remember watching a guy on a religious show say that loneliness was the #1 problem in the world. Loneliness causes people to do almost anything to get rid of that awful, empty feeling inside: booze, drugs, food, shopping, one-night stands, hanging out with deadbeats, looking for love in all the wrong places, self-mutilation, depression, self-hatred, and the list goes on. Find comfort within yourself, then you will never get lonely, or at least never do stupid things when you do. You will be able to ride out the storm of that lonely feeling. I saw a talk show where the topic was personal ad scams, and the common thread of all the victims was their loneliness. Loneliness made them go out with cons and losers even though their better judgment told them to stay away. I've probably said it 100 times already: if it's lukewarm or half-assed, it isn't love. Stay alone for a while until you find the right one. I know it's tough, but you will end up paying a higher price if you go out with someone that you intuitively know is not right for you. The essence of loneliness for heterosexual people is the absence of an opposite gender soulmate who loves you and understands you as much as you love and understand her. Everybody wants that perfect fit, someone that's like two hearts in one. Many people with active social lives and many friends are still lonely because they need that one special person that's all theirs, there for them to love each other with all their hearts and souls, something that not too many people really have. There are plenty of lonely hearts out there who are willing to share their lonely lives with you, like your dog, your buddies, the boys at the bar, and virtually any homeless guy on the street. You can even find an opposite-sex warm body at a bar, but that won't necessarily ease your loneliness because it's not the soulmate thing. Loneliness Essay 5. To be chronically untouched. Loneliness is one of the biggest epidemics in life, right up there with self-betrayal and poverty. Sting's Message in a Bottle song from the 1980s started with a lonely guy who realized millions of people were lonely like he was, but it's all hidden. Nobody walks around with a sign on their forehead saying, "I'm single, I need somebody to love." Life among men is like that 1955 movie Marty. They're all standing around talking big until Marty has his great revelation. He had met a nice girl the night before who his buds implied was a dog, but they're all there being lonely, acting like cool, tough guys while he had made a real connection with somebody, so he eventually said, "Screw you guys with your bull," and went off to call her. This movie is timeless. Nothing has changed since the days of black and white film. We're still as lonely and self-conscious as ever. Back then they had the big dance halls where everyone went at night because there was no TV and home entertainment like there is now. Men act all tough on the outside while they want to meet someone just like women do, but most either don't know how or don't have the guts to make moves. Meatloaf sang that song, 2 out of 3 Isn't Bad, which to me was about a one-night stand that brought some temporary comfort for the moment but still didn't solve the near-universal problem of existential loneliness and how to alleviate it in a permanent way. It's the understanding part that's hard. You want someone who's shared a common type of life experience as you, someone who thinks like you and they're there for you. Everybody wants a lifelong love, but a lot of us don't get it. Many people live half-decent lives without a great love affair, so if you've just broken up and or haven't met that wonderful mythical soulmate you yearn for, play it cool, do what you can to make yourself ready in case you do, and just keep living beyond that. It's all you can do. The absence of a soulmate is a great source of loneliness for many people. You just have to get it out of your mind and get on with life. Only then will you meet someone when you're not sulking around feeling sorry for yourself. When you're young and carefree, you enjoy your freedom and exploration of life, so you don't have to get lonely unless you will it so. You can get on the bandwagon of dreams and work and drown out all thoughts of falling in love. That's what our competitive society is all about. Winners work hard, give that extra kick and go all the way, no talk about love and commitment there. Winners very often have to be lonely guys and gals because they gotta dedicate themselves totally to whatever it is they're doing lest they be toppled by the next upstart waiting in the wings, i.e., the phrase "it's lonely at the top." Whether married or single, it's very easy to become a workaholic and tune other people out, but in the end, it's a poor substitute for love unless it's something inspiring that can rival the transcendent sensations of love. Many artists and creative types prefer their work over love. That's just the way they are. The cheap thrills that society offers are a poor substitute for love, but inspired work that you feel is your God-given destiny is often stronger than the need for romantic love. Loneliness Essay 6. The biggest cause of loneliness is too much idle time to sit around and think. When you think about nothing in particular, all kinds of things go through your mind. Even the most positive among us still get those negative what ifs, like what if I end up alone and desolate? The best solution is to get active. Do something so that you're not sitting around and letting those thoughts get the better of you. Sometimes it's tough at night or on the weekends. Deal with it by working on something or playing with your dog. When I was younger, I felt lonely sometimes, but the older I got, the more enlightened I got about life, and now I'm at a point where I'm like those old guys you see around sometimes who have been through the war and now nothing phases them anymore. Nothing phases me, especially being alone, because I know that life is solitary for everyone regardless of how many people you have around, and I consider it a blessing to have the luxury of free time alone, unhassled by the regular problems of life, so I rarely get lonely. It's a state of mind. You have to be happy with or without anybody. One way to keep from getting lonely is by filling up your days with positive things like work, exercise, reading, computer, internet, etc. Do what you like to do, enjoy your life regardless of whether you're single or not. Get a pet. These things are all kind of forced. The real trick to enjoy your life is to ride that natural wave of inspiration and hedonism that lives somewhere deep inside of you. If you have the guts to discover it, then live it out. When you get that lonely feeling, just play it cool, go to bed and plan to wake up the next day and do something positive and or hedonistic. If you search for love, you might not find it, but if you just live and be yourself as a good, positive person, it will hit you when you least expect it. Loneliness is an attitude just like being single, and happy is an attitude. Many people feel totally happy being alone and single. I remember seeing an interview on TV with an 80-year-old woman artist who said she had to live her life alone to pursue the free flow of thoughts that she felt. Many single women surveyed 2 years after divorce reported that they felt happier than they'd ever been during the marriage. You're lonely if you want to be. Whether I'm alone or with someone, I try to make it a point to feel good regardless. Many singles defeat themselves. Everybody wants somebody who's easygoing, peaceful, and lighthearted, so if you want somebody, lighten up, lighten up. Whether you're looking for love, in love, or single by choice, the only choice any human being has in order to live a full life is to find your God-given strengths, interests, and talents and make them real. You can live a pretty happy life as a single just by going for it, taking action to become the person you were born to be. When you do that, I guarantee that you will have people interested in you. The best way to deal with loneliness, assuming you want a relationship, is to work on yourself as a person on both the inside and the outside, so that when you meet some truly interesting person that could be your soulmate, you will be ready for them. You will have developed yourself to be the best you can be at that moment, and it will be something they can recognize and appreciate in you. He or she's out there this very minute probably thinking the same thoughts as you about his future soulmate, so the lesson is don't despair, invest in yourself as a human being for the sake of your future love. Other than that, just don't think about it. It's all in your mind. You can get over it by an act of will. If it's really bad, go out and join some church group or something like that. They will be your friends real quick. Video games and cable TV have made us a nation of alienated folk, each sitting in our homes in front of a screen. Get up and get out of the house and do something, even if it's volunteering at a homeless shelter. At least you will have contact with people. You choose whether to get down on yourself and give up on love. It's a fact that many women past the age of 35 give up on love and live lonely lives. It's your choice. It's never too late. The world keeps spinning around and the only one you gotta answer to is you. If you continue to be a good person and work on yourself, you will meet that someone special. I can't speak for women, but being a man, I know that if I take care of myself, I can attract young women well into my 50s, and then if I'm 60 and single, I will still be able to attract 35-year-olds. The lesson for all you lonely hearts out there is to get up off your butts, put some sparkle in your life and on your face, and you will be able to attract somebody soon enough. Even if you're old, it's never too late, you can always attract a sparkly, nice older person. It beats having those nightly pity parties for yourself. One more thing, if you're really lonely, don't listen to love music, it will just make you more lonely. See the 1984 comedy with Steve Martin, The Lonely Guy. Loneliness Essay 7. Loneliness is a state of mind, a disease of an empty soul that has been brainwashed into thinking it's missing out on something. Joe, the happy, horny hedonist. We've all been lonely at one time or another. Single people get lonely, but the big deception is that married people are all lovey-dovey and cozy, when the truth is that it's worse to be married to someone you have no emotional connection to than to be alone and free. I remember feeling lonely occasionally as a young man without a soulmate to be with, but then at about the age of 28, when I realized that we're all loners walking around with phony fronts, and discovered my true identity. I was free to live my life for the ride it was, and have never really been lonely since, because I have myself, I know what my life is, and that's all I really need. I suppose it would be nice to have a soulmate, but firstly, I'm a hedonist. Transient pleasures serve me fine. Secondly, since I know who I am, if I have one soulmate, I would think, why not have 2, 5, or 10? I feel more polygamous in spirit than monogamous. Thirdly, I live by a standard of self-respect. It's the most important thing to me. I have to release a certain amount of inspired aesthetic energy every day in order to honor myself. After I do this, it doesn't matter what I do. All that matters to me is that I meet my standard every day. Fourthly, I feel that I live in an overly soppy, psychobabble society made up of a bunch of wimps. 100 years ago, people had to work all day in order to survive. Nowadays, we got so much free time and so much mind pollution from the mainstream media that many people are brainwashed into thinking there's something wrong with them if they're not in some TV family type relationship, which we all know is a lie, because the stuff on TV is fantasy stuff thought up in somebody's mind. It's not the way the real world works or how most people live. I see myself as an artist, bohemian hedonist. By definition, I live by my own thoughts and feelings, and for them. They are my nirvana. My goal is to be as true and pure to myself as possible. I've written my Free Spirits book about this. The purpose of life to me is to capture moments of transcendence here and there through what I do, namely an intense release of my natural energy, and also to culture a long-term sense of well-being about myself, which I do by constantly expending myself to my limits. This is nirvana to me, to blow a load of aesthetic primal spiritual energy today that comes from my soul to help make me the person I want to be, then to sit back and enjoy my life after this. I don't know of any other definition of happiness than this. It's my attempt to constantly go after the perfect feeling. It's not about those lists of happiness the psychobablists have come up with, where they list 8 factors or so, and if you supposedly have all of them, you score high in happiness. I saw them interview a few of these supposed happy people on a CTV show about happiness. It was a lie. Fat people can't be happy because they are out of harmony with themselves. None of these people looked like they were riding their lives, expending a lot of inspired aesthetic energy. It was more like a generic, clinical definition. They were scored on 8 factors, which went something like: I have a good attitude, I savor life, I have friends and family, I feel I have enough money, I am satisfied and thankful, I try to smile every day, etc. This is the psychobabble approach to happiness. The enlightened free spirit's approach is to try to touch nirvana by expending yourself mightily in what you love to do, and when you've blown that load of energy on any given day, you have reached transcendence and will be able to ride out a feeling of happiness for the rest of the day, then do it all over again tomorrow. Loneliness Essay 8. I know we're all alone in the universe, a bunch of loners stuck in our heads, our thoughts and feelings known to none but us, even if you have a bunch of soulmates and kindred spirits around. An artist knows that this is the human condition. There's nothing he can do about it, so he simply makes a pact with himself to live out his ride of the human experience as best as he can. This is why I can't relate to loneliness. I rarely feel lonely because I have myself, my own standard of how I should live. My life is one big, never-ending journey of experience. That's as good as it gets, which is why I ride it to the hilt. I don't particularly care if I'm alone or with other people. I will get my dose of life today no matter what. I live for the pursuit of a glorious life for me through what I do day by day. I knew a long time ago that not too many people have a lust for life the way I do, so I leave the generic nerds TP live their soppy, trivial lives as I do what I do to honor the spirit of life the gods put into me. When you live like this, you can't get lonely. Loneliness to me is boredom with yourself. You got too much time to think, so you mope about your tragic past and your future that won't turn out as your romantic fantasies wanted them to. I feel connected to all the original, creative, free, tough, brave, worthy thinkers, explorers, inventors, artists, doers and builders in history before me. They are my kindred spirit ancestors. How can I possibly dishonor them by giving in to some soppy emotion called loneliness? Loneliness is for the weak wimps, people not bold enough to live their own lives come hell or high water, do what they feel they were meant to do within their souls unfazed by the rest of the world. Most people simply psyche themselves out into being lonely rather than being like me. I love my life. I'm thankful for every second I'm breathing air. I don't feel deprived because I'm not in some lovey-dovey monogamous relationship. I feel great because I have the power to do what I want. I have health, vitality, and freedom. My ability to do the things I do physically puts me in the top 2 to 3% of the population in being powerful and feeling powerful, so what do I care about some soppy emotion like loneliness? I can go out and run 12 miles, lift a ton of weights, swim a mile or two, then do some coke and have some fun with some fair weather friends. What do I care? I'll do it all again tomorrow. This is as good as it gets. I have no illusions about being in some relationship that's gonna change me or make me feel more whole. I will always be who I am now, regardless of whether I'm single or married with kids. I come from a family of Polish peasants who lived through the hell of World War II. People like us are basic. If we've got our health, some food, and a roof over our heads, we're thankful. It's the people who are never satisfied who build up romantic fantasies in their heads that they got from being brainwashed by TV shows and movies and never reach them who are the miserable, lost souls who get lonely. My life is more like Zorba the Greek than Virginia Woolf. I'm more action-oriented in the moment than sitting back, reading a book, contemplating all my life than focusing on all the negative things. I think we live in a wimp society where we are conditioned to look for someone else to fill up some alleged emptiness within ourselves and make us happy, but over 90% of all couples I know and come across are not truly happy in the glorious sense as you would expect soulmates to be. Marriage as the key to happiness is one of the biggest lies in society. It makes some people happy, but for most, it's just a generic social indoctrination routine, no different than being two strangers in the same house and then they go on stupid talk shows with stupid psychobablists and cry about how they're not in a perfect, lovey-dovey relationship while we got kids starving in Africa somewhere. Get real. We're loners stuck in our heads by design. Most people will not get the love they really want, which is why you should focus on finding happiness within yourself first. Never mind feeling lonely. I got a life to live. I don't have time for such weak emotions. My connection is to my soul and my kindred spirit ancestors throughout history who had the guts to live their lives the way they wanted to or die trying. If I've ever got some free time where I don't feel like doing much or feel tired and lackadaisical, I turn to my other hobby which I've written a resource book about, recreational substances. When you're into recreational substances, you know you can always get high and experience some pretty incredible feelings and worlds. It's a great hobby. Don't listen to all that negative propaganda out there about them. I've had some of the most incredible experiences in my life on drugs. In the end, you're always stuck with you alone. Why fret it? Live your life. Loneliness is for the wimps not strong enough to simply be thankful for being alive. You cause your own loneliness. It's all in the way you think and live. Chapter 2. Loneliness could make you feel empty if you let it. The dark night of the soul. You can have one dark night of the soul or many. It always comes down to two things, at least for us people living in the safe Anglo-Saxon societies. 1. I'm running out of money, I don't have a job. What do? I could end up homeless. 2. I feel alone, I feel lonely. Is this how I will spend the rest of my life, sleeping alone every night? Will I die alone? The only truly enlightened, tough, courageous people are the ones who live true to themselves and don't just parrot this empty cliché, I'm true to myself. People get lonely. Plenty of people die alone. They're found later laying on the floor or in bed in their house or apartment. So what? Keep living until you drop. I feel good. Don't mourn for me, Argentina. If you don't enjoy your life single or coupled, it's a tragedy. There are human tragedies everywhere because people sit around and never do anything intense. That's the tragedy. If you want to hide in some stupid marriage because you're afraid to be alone and do what you really want to do, you're in good company with all the other wimps of the world. Loneliness one-liners. The Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone, I will make him a helper fit for him." And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field, and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them, and whatever Adam called every living creature, that was its name. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field, but for Adam there was not found a helper fit for him. Genesis 2:18-20. A father of the fatherless, and a judge of the widows, is God in his holy habitation. God sets the solitary in families, he brings out those which are bound with chains. Psalm 68:4-6. Insults have broken my heart, and I am full of heaviness, and I looked for some to take pity, but there was none, and I looked for comforters, but I found none. Psalm 69:20. Loneliness is poverty of the soul. Solitude is the richness of it. The worst kind of loneliness is to be in a relationship with someone and they're never there for you. Many a housewife staring at the back of her husband's newspaper or listening to his breathing in bed is lonelier than any spinster in a rented room. Germaine Greer, The Female Eunuch, 1970. If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company. The loneliest feeling in the world is going to bed with the wrong one regardless of whether it's a one-night stand or a long-term relationship. Lonely chick. Lonely people talking to each other can make each other lonelier. Lillian Hellman, The Autumn Garden, 1951. Loneliness is the surest cure for vanity. Solitude is holding an audience with God. en.thinkexist.com/quotation/loneliness. quotationsbook.com/subjects/717/loneliness. quotationspage.com/subjects/loneliness. quotes.prolix.nu/loneliness. Chapter 3. How close can anyone get to anyone else? How close can you get to other people? 1. I'm not looking for deep, intimate perfection, I just want a true friend. I can walk with anybody but only for a while and not too close because this is the nature of the human beast. Everybody walks alone. There is no equality among people. In any situation, there's always a conflict between those with the power and money versus those without it. Love is a part of life, but it's not necessarily the be-all, end-all, although it could be. The key is doing whatever it takes to keep yourself inspired and happy day by day, and a lot of this is done alone, some is done for love. If you can have both, things you love to do and love with a few others, that's great. If you can share whatever it is you love to do with others out of love for the process and love for them, that's the greatest way to be, but not necessary to live a great life. There are soloists around who live great lives by following the flow within themselves without sharing it with anyone but themselves. Nobody is a total island. In your dealings with people in the real world, the more positive and sociable you are, the more you stay inspired and the more you reap their goodwill onto you. Wherever you go, whatever you do, all people will judge you by your good, easygoing nature, your pleasantness, friendliness, the sociability in your aura and gentleness or lack of it. Most people are aware enough to know that other people are just minor concepts to the solitary paths they travel every day, but what separates the well-liked person from the neutral or not liked one is your ability to be a friend, a light-hearted buddy, a show of support, an inspiration, and a light versus an aloof person with a reserved nature keeping it all in, or someone with a negative attitude, criticizing everything. If you make pleasant small talk, help and support the people around you, whoever they might be, you will have friends and the day will go much easier simply by virtue of exchanging this positive energy between you. If you exchange your thoughts and inspirations with whoever you might be with, you feel more connected to the human race and people tend to like you for being a positive force, sharing yourself, being a part of the spirit of life in some way. I've found this works just like releasing the natural energy inside. The more I connect with other people and feel connected to the tribe of humanity, the more inspired I feel about my life in general, but just like the process of releasing the natural energy within, it's a transient thing that has to be nourished all the time in order to keep that inspired feeling going. Love is good and nice, but regardless of how great it is, ultimately we're all little blobs of flesh walking around with our own agendas, responsible to ourselves to create our lives. We can share parts of our lives with other people, but it only goes so far, and the rest is you all by yourself trying to live by that vision in your head. We can either try for higher states of consciousness to reach moments of transcendence and radiance as enlightened beings, find the beauty and strength in your deepest soul, or live mundanely for the creature comforts as much of the population does. The thing about people in general is that there's such little kindness and consideration in the world that when you slow down, offer a pleasantry or help someone in need, whether by pure compassionate intention or a conscious effort to try to be a good human being for political intent to get something you want out of the deal, you will almost always get reciprocal return, and sometimes even more. It could be karma or could be in the nature of people to give back to those who are freely supportive and helpful to them, so whichever way you cut it, to be a positive force, to help others become better versions of themselves in any way whatsoever is the best way to live, both for your own inspiration to have a self-perception as a purveyor of enlightenment and happiness, and for political expediency. You need all the allies and friends you can get wherever you go. Whatever you do as a matter of course to maximize your position is good for you, so the way to do this is by being positive to whomever you're with. As social beings, one of our desires is to find a few kindred spirits and maybe a soulmate to share the journey with, because life is so solitary by virtue of the fact that we're always alone, stuck in our heads, so it's nice and comforting to connect with other like-minded souls here and there to break up the monotony, feel you can relate to other souls in an intimate spiritual way and get strength, enjoyment, fun, friendship, and inspiration from them. People in general will only care about you if you care about them. That's the way to get loving and friendship. Show people you give a damn about them by giving them your ear, your time, your inspiration, your strength, your wisdom, your help, your beautiful fun self, and they will give it back to you by the law of reciprocity. Kindred spirits and soulmates will like you for you regardless of reciprocity, but you have to appease other people by giving them something in exchange for their superficial friendship, which is the way most relationships work anyway, Stuck at some light-hearted level of casual contact, which is good enough most of the time because most people are not kindred spirits or don't want to get too close because they're moving too fast, stuck in their own lives, which comes down to the melodramas and personal little fantasies in their heads, just like you have your little melodramas and fantasies in that solitary bubble known as your life. The best you can do with others is share easy time together and show them you can relate to their headspace here and there, whatever it may be. How close can you get to other people? 2. Always search for your innermost nature in those you are with. Rumi. My perception of humanity is basically a bunch of loners walking around, each stuck in their own heads, all of us detached from everyone else, understood by no one, deluding ourselves into thinking we're tightly connected to others, which is really very rare because we're existentially alone by birthright and only connect with other souls for brief moments here and there as we go through our solitary lives. You've generally got some kind of social mask on which hides your real self, plus the fact that most people are thinking about themselves from their own perspectives even when they're talking to you, so this is the way we live, alone in our thoughts most of the time, even while we're having deep conversations with others. The best you can hope for is a deep hug from someone who loves you for you. Touching communication is way more profound than conversation, which becomes almost meaningless when you get to my age, because I know all talk is cheap entertainment, just like TV. People generally say what they feel is expedient at the time with very little conviction or sincerity there. If you don't strive to honor yourself, you can't righteously love other people with all the flair you've got, because there's something missing inside you in control of your soul. Conversely, if you're connected to your soul, you usually feel pretty good, and part of an enlightened life is to reach out, connect with others, pass some of your love, inspiration, and joy onto them so that they can do the same to you. I believe most people don't marry for love, it's for something else, like social pressure and the social ritual which pushes young people to get married by 25 years old. I see so many people get married while they're still unsure of themselves as human beings, people who haven't given themselves much time to explore their lives, find out what they're really all about, so this emptiness will always plague them until and unless they confront themselves, find their souls and live by them. This is my observation based on most of the young people I see settling down. They're still not happy with themselves as individuals, but do it because it's the cultural way. Then most will either get divorced or end up living stuck, mundane lives, not doing what they really want to do. Just like Roberts Browning, the poet, said, "Oh, make us happy and you make us good," so it goes with life. Seek out happiness within yourself, find it, and you will automatically become a more loving, kinder person than you could have been without taking the proverbial hero's journey and finding yourself. Many couples, who you'd think would be the tightest group in humanity, don't even know each other all that well, as I found when I conducted my sexual insights survey in my exploration of love, sex, and romance. Their self-perceptions, the way they saw themselves, the way they thought about their partners, the way their partners thought about them, and the way they thought their partners thought about them were all off consistently with most people, meaning the way you see your partner is often different than the way they see themselves. The way you think your partner sees you is often different from the way they see you, and vice versa. I found these results by asking couples a bunch of questions about each other, and almost always, their answers about what they thought of each other were different. Most people think more highly of themselves than others do, and rarely think they have flaws, while the people around them are all critics, having dissected them down to all their weaknesses. The only way you get true love is if you can lay comfortably with someone at night and both feel it. We have a public side which we show to the world and a private side which we dare not reveal to anyone else. My opinion of love is that it starts with the most natural thing in the world, loving yourself. Only people who reach a high sense of self-love can be great lovers, because they're aware enough to know this is what they want and will seek love purely for its own sake, being as honest as they can, not less pure motives like cultural brainwash, social acceptance, immaturity, insecurity, loneliness, a meal ticket, in love with the idea of being in love, etc. You must have your soul as your base first, then look to connect with a worthy soulmate equal, not like most people do, getting married before they've figured their lives out because of the cultural pressure to do so, ending up with all kinds of disharmony within themselves. Chapter 4. An Existential Loneliness Guide. Existential Loneliness 1. You'll always be alone, stuck in your own head. You can get close and intimate with your family and friends. You can share your life with the world through what you do. You can get 1,000 emails a week from admirers at a social website. You can find a new sex buddy on sex dating websites every night. You can do drugs and drink booze with your friends all the time. You can achieve celebrity status and a lot of people will know your name, but through it all, you will still be a loner stuck in your own head for most of every day. It's the human condition. Some people call it existential loneliness. Nobody will ever understand you or know who you really are the way you think in the privacy of your mind, not even your mother or your spouse. The way to live the greatest life possible is to earn your self-respect and a sense of well-being through what you do every day, and after that, get a little bit of love and pleasure from the few intimates in your life, which are usually pets, because their love is much simpler and purer than most human relationships. Your destiny is to experience your life alone, known to no one but you, but we want love and connection so much that we're willing to sacrifice our lives looking for it, getting sucked in by all kinds of jerks, liars, crooks and con artists along the way. Searching for love has probably caused more pain to the human race than anything else. People think they will solve their feelings of emptiness if they find somebody to love who loves them back, but emptiness starts with the individual by him or herself. The mass media has brainwashed us to think that love will solve all of our problems, that if we just find a soulmate, we will be happy forever, but it's not true, because you are an individual who spends most of your life alone in your head. In order to be happy, you have to conquer yourself. You must discover your true existential identity, what talents and tendencies your Creator endowed you with, what you're naturally good at, what you like to do, then live to honor who you are in your free spirit. A lot of people never discover who they really are. They get brainwashed by the artificial values of the world. They don't live in harmony with who they really are, so they're lost souls who mistakenly think that finding someone to love will change their lives, but it won't, because their real problem is that they're not living in harmony with their true natures. Even after you find a beautiful, loving mate, you will find, as I have found, that nothing much has changed in your consciousness, the way you think and feel day by day. It's still you alone in your head, facing the biggest challenge of life, discovering your true identity and honoring it. My intimate relationships make me feel great, but only for a little while every day. We all have other things to do, and it would be uncomfortable for me to sit there with my loved ones, touching them, feeling them, serenading them all day long, telling them how much I adore them and love to be with them. When I first fell in love as a naive kid, I thought that something was supposed to change about my consciousness and state of mind permanently, because I had been brainwashed by watching thousands of love movies and shows on TV all my life. They always ended with the happily ever after thing. With my first real love affair as a young man, after the exaggerated, overly intense puppy love of the teen years, I went through that love-struck phase where you're walking on air because you're in love, but after 3 weeks at the most, physiologically the love hormones oxytocin and P get tired and stop shooting your body up to make you feel high. On top of that, I still had to go to school, work out, buy groceries and do other things. The first time I fell in love, it was really intense. This trend continued on throughout my 20s and some of my 30s, but then romantic love started losing its intensity for me. Now it's just another sensation of life, equal to a number of other sensations I experience. It's no big deal. I live a full life regardless of whether I'm single or in a romantic relationship. My point is that you can fall in love and go through all those fireworks, but then they're over and there you are, alone in your head, having to deal with your life again, even if you have this best friend and beautiful mate beside you. I formulated free spiritism after I realized I have my own sense of inner accountability to the soul, free spirit, or essence that is me, away from everything I've ever been brainwashed by, because this is all anybody real owns in life, this never-ending stream of consciousness in your head. The only way any human being can possibly feel great all the time is to honor that inner sense of accountability you should feel within yourself of who you were born to be, by releasing the natural energy inside of you every day, day by day. If you follow the artificial values of the world and don't realize that the key to a great life is to constantly release the natural energy in your free spirit, your life will be anywhere from mundane to miserable. The fact that you're loved or not doesn't have much to do with culturing a constant euphoric sense of well-being about yourself, because there is only one way to genuinely feel good about yourself. You have to earn it by doing tough, challenging, inspired, noble, worthy things that make you feel proud of yourself. It's about self-respect. My life centers around earning a good dose of self-respect every single day through what I do. I'll bet that a lot of people never even think about self-respect or what it is. It's the only way any individual can possibly feel good about their lives all the time. I'm not talking positive thinking psychobabble bullshit. I'm talking about following your true nature by releasing most of the natural potential energy that you feel inside of you every day when you wake up. Anything else is not a great life. There is always that inner voice inside of you that's telling you how you're feeling and how you're doing. Nothing outside of you can elevate it and sustain it such that you're riding on air all the time. If you manage to make a lot more money than you ever need, like win the big lottery, for the first few days you're thinking how lucky you are. You can buy anything you want, but you can only sit in one room at a time, drive one car at a time, drink one beer at a time, etc. So after a while, you realize that once you got what you need, material things can't take your inner sense of well-being up to a qualitatively higher level for days on end. All you can do is buy cheap transient thrills with it. A great life is a lifestyle or routine of releasing the natural energy in your free spirit with love and joy for the process day after day, every day until you pass. Only a few people like me know it and live by it. Existential loneliness too. We are all alone. We are all united that way, in being alone. Naked and alone we came into exile. In her dark womb we did not know our mother's face. From the prison of her flesh have we come into the unspeakable and incommunicable prison of this earth. Which of us has known his brother? Which of us has looked into his father's heart? Which of us has not remained forever prison pent? Which of us is not forever a stranger and alone? Thomas Wolfe, Look Homeward Angel. The eternal quest of the individual human being is to shatter his loneliness. Norman Cousins, Mind-Body Pioneer. The universe is true for all of us and different for each of us. Marcel Proust. Being truly alone is exhilarating. Explorer in some desolate area on TV. The tremendous fact of our isolation, of the loneliness impenetrable and transparent, elusive and everlasting, of the indestructible loneliness that surrounds, envelopes, clothes every human soul from the cradle to the grave and perhaps beyond. Joseph Conrad, an outcast of the islands. We are all made up of fragments, so shapelessly and strangely assembled that every moment, every piece plays its own game. And there is as much difference between us and ourselves as between us and others. Montaigne, Essays. Even between the closest of souls, there are infinite distances. In the song I Am, I Said, Neil Diamond says he doesn't like the sound of being alone. That's a nice sentiment, it makes us human, but the truth is we are all alone, stuck in our heads, detached from everybody else regardless of how close we might get to them intimately. We're still a bunch of loners by design, each living our own unique journeys known to none but us alone as individuals. I have been in love before, but it faded because I was a nobody in the world and had to prove myself and earn a living, so in the process, I sacrificed true love, but I still want it and crave it because I know it's real. I've felt it, but it's rare and I haven't felt it for several years. I currently live in a house with several people. We are all civil, sociable, and nice to each other, but deep down, I'm aware that we all know we're loners in the same house, and I suspect they feel that way too, but we get by with our moderately sociable relationships with each other. Still, this is not the soulmate love we really want. Even with my best, closest friends, I have no idea of how they spend the minutes of their days or what's in their private thoughts, nor can I penetrate the facades we all have when communicating with other people, so I accept life as is, know that soulmate connections are nice, but live mostly alone, stuck in my own thoughts, which I feel are pretty good because I don't try to censor myself like most people do. Existentialism is the philosophy created by Albert Camus, Friedrich Nietzsche, and Jean-Paul Sartre that says we're all loners and we never will truly know another, so we're stuck in our heads and life is our unique ride of time as a series of experiences. Jean-Paul Sartre said in Nausea, "Man can will nothing unless he has first understood that he must count on no one but himself, that he is alone, abandoned on earth in the midst of his infinite responsibilities, without help, with no other aim than the one he sets himself, with no other destiny than the one he forges for himself on this earth." Fritz Perls, creator of Gestalt therapy, penned the Gestalt Prayer, which could easily double as the existentialist prayer. I am not in this world to live up to your expectations. And you are not in this world to live up to mine. You are you and I am I. And if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. We spend a lot of our energies trying to get perfectly intimately connected to one great lover in what is called a soulmate and maybe a few friends, our children, and relatives too, but mature people know that very few relationships are perfectly intimate all the time. They're more like the song Circle, written and sung by the late folk singer Harry Chapin, where he says that life is a circle and relationships are a circle, going round and round, getting close and deep with our lover, then losing this intimacy for one reason or another, going around the circle to get close again, then losing the intimacy once more, and this is what life is, a series of up-down cycles with your lover. So the lesson is clear. If you can't be perfectly intimate with the one great love of your life, it just goes to prove there are significant differences between all people, which is what existentialism means. Everybody experiences life from their own unique, solitary point of view that no one else will ever share or understand. Existential loneliness is the empty feeling some of us get because we're alone, stuck in our heads, always solitary no matter how close we get to anybody else, because we can never share our true complete selves with another person, partially because it would be too embarrassing if we were honest enough to share our innermost feelings with anyone else, and partially because it's impossible anyway. We all live our lives as a unique experience of a human life, different from anybody else's, unknown to anyone else. This is the reality of life. Accept it. Accept your relationships despite their limitations and move on with your journey of finite time. Sure, strive to satisfy your need for love and intimacy, but always know it will not fulfill you perfectly simply because it's your life alone in your head. So the first rule is to focus on making yourself happy alone as is, because that's all you ever really own anyway. And if you're messed up by not being comfortable in your own skin and look to another person's love to fill you up, it won't work, because another person can't give you a strong sense of identity. You only get that through your own efforts by living your life true to yourself, such that you're happy standing alone in the world. If you reach this level of enlightenment and mastery, then you have something solid to offer another person, such that the two of you together can increase your mutual happiness by sharing a part of your lives with each other. But you're still mature enough to know your journey will always be alone, experienced from your unique perspective in your head. Despite being in a great love affair, you still have to wake up every morning to live with yourself and do whatever it is you do to stay inspired and happy about life. Nobody else can do this for you. This is what existentialism means. If you're wise, you will accept it as part of your life and not succumb to feelings of existential loneliness, which a lot of people can't do because they've been conditioned by society to be neurotic if they're not in a perfect lovey-dovey relationship. On a more romantic and idealistic level, all our movies and all our religions are about love. I personally have experienced soulmate love and have had kindred spirit relationships throughout my life, so I'm not a cynic. I believe in soul connections among people. I sense people's hearts very shortly after meeting them. If I sense someone who I'll call an aesthetic, someone motivated by the same intrinsic love of life as me as opposed to capitalism, I will like that person and possibly befriend them and help them if the situation warrants it. It's these connections among people I perceive as kindred spirits that I value. With all the rest of the people of the world, I will be civil to them, but we might as well be on different planets because I feel no spiritual aesthetic, kindred spirit connection with them. An old friend once told me that we're all connected by virtue of being human. I disagreed with him, saying that I feel nothing for most people out there because I feel they're generic, brainwashed people living dull, average lives with no driving passion or originality to them. I am civil to them but I feel no inspiration or love from them or for them. I know this sounds arrogant but my job in this book is to be honest. That's what every true artist is by definition, arrogant enough to believe that his or her ideas are better than everyone else's, which is why he or she lives for them regardless of what the world says or how much it rejects his self-perception of being a great, original thinker with pioneering ideas. I suppose that's why people like me can get by relatively happy being alone. I know my truth is king, I live by it and I don't particularly care what the rest of the world says. I'm happy and fully comfortable with who I am and what I think. I get sentimental for a soulmate like the ones I've been with in my past, but I can handle it either way, with or without a soulmate. Most people go through life without connecting with a true soulmate. They marry someone less than a soulmate and adapt to each other to the point of comfortable complacency, which is what most people are anyway, comfortably complacent. It ain't exactly like meeting someone with a strong, inspired passion for life itself. Most people are average. Average is good enough for them. Perfect intimate relationships are rare among average people because there is no passion for life there, so why would there be passion for love? A few people get to live out love affairs that are almost perfect over a lifetime, but they're far and few between, easily less than 1% of the population. Love is great if you can find it, but the base of your life is you alone honoring your soul, and if you have that, you can use romantic love to enhance your happiness, but it can't solve the problem of your existential loneliness, because I believe existential loneliness can only be alleviated by developing yourself to love the person you are, accepting your existential loneliness such that it doesn't bother you, then seeking out love not as a neurotic thing you need to fill up some emptiness inside of you, but as a nice thing two enlightened people come together for to add to the joy and happiness they already feel as strong individuals by themselves, not to try to fill up this existential loneliness they feel. Rumi, the Sufi philosopher from the 13th century, said there's a piece of him by himself he has to honor and understand that has nothing to do with anyone else on the planet. This is your base in your soul. Make it strong, then work out from there, not the other way around, seeking out love to fill the emptiness you feel within. The older I get, the more mature my relationships get with other people. When I was 22, I used to crave companionship and felt lonely if I didn't have a friend or two around to reassure me that I was emotionally connected with some other people on the planet. But as I've aged, I've grown to realize we're all alone by the law of existentialism. There's nothing I can do about it, so I might as well be comfortable in my own skin. Friendships are nice, romantic love is nice, but they're not desperate needs I have anymore because I'm aware of their limitations. On the day I die, it will be alone in my head, passing into the ether. The world won't skip a beat. It won't bother me. Gilligan's Island will still be in reruns somewhere. The world will go on. I will have had my ride and move on to either another dimension or permanent sleep. Either way, I'm mature enough to face it alone. If we can culture our lives to be happy as is, then we can take a mature attitude to relationships to enhance the identities we already have inside, but we alone are responsible for creating our lives and culturing a sense of happiness and peace within ourselves. I still get lonely, but I don't feel a strong need to be perfectly understood and loved by another human being anymore like I did when I was younger. The best I can do is to honor myself and fulfill my divine duty that was placed into me when I was born, and if I get some love and friendship beyond that, then it adds to the happiness I already have in my unique journey alone in the world, but I'm not neurotic about it. Existential Loneliness 3. And so the night goes on. I am alone, with no one to truly see what I mean in a face-to-face conversation. All the people I've ever met had something wrong with them, and there's literally thousands of them. No amount of unconditional love could turn them normal. I'm running out of possibilities here. Maybe there's something wrong with me then. I'm tired of fighting, asking, probing, observing, and not being able to share properly. It's a doomed existence, and I'm here to watch. Whatever happened to love, compassion, and understanding? Where on earth, hell, has the internal beauty gone? Is all this bickering ever going to end? When you have been stripped of all your illusions, when you have nothing left to believe in, there is no one there at all but yourself. It felt rather like falling endlessly in icy, black, meaningless space. No rhyme nor reason, no truth, nor beauty, no anything that I had ever believed in could be seen anywhere. Kafka. I am just one single, solitary, lone being in the darkness, and there really and truly might never, ever, be anyone or anything in existence of real love, truth, and beauty. No human being can really understand another, and no one can arrange another person's happiness. Graham Greene, The Heart of the Matter. I don't get lonely and fall to pieces because I've accepted the existential condition of life, that I will always be responsible for my own life. Even though I've reached the state of enlightenment in my life, many people are stuck on the need for intimacy to fill up the existential loneliness they feel, which is why the search for love will never go out of style. In fact, many people searching for love are neurotic wrecks because they've been brainwashed into thinking that love will fill something up inside of them and solve all their problems, but, of course, it won't, because first and foremost, they're individuals and they have to culture a sense of comfort within themselves before they can go off and have a mature relationship with someone else without being overly dependent or overly smothering. Many of the things people do are poor attempts at intimacy that I call pseudo-intimacy that will never fill their hole of existential loneliness, things like going to church, nightclubs, New Ageism, concerts, sporting events, the local lodge, political rallies, identifying with pop culture entities, the cult of celebrity, living through achievements in the outside world, trying to be famous, etc. All these things are an attempt to fill the emptiness within with a reassuring paternal feeling that you belong to something greater than yourself, a sense that you're connected to the communal tribe in a spiritual way and all is all right with the world, but it's all temporary, an illusion to the real you, because you always end up alone, stuck in your own thoughts. No matter what you do out in the world, you always end up having to deal with yourself alone. So if you want to live a full, enlightened life, you have to take the journey of the soul, find it, then go with peaceful self-acceptance and inspired action from it for the rest of your life. The inside world as your base is always your only sanctuary, and until you understand that the outside world can't fill you up and never will, you will always feel some kind of emptiness within, a dull feeling way down deep that you know there's something missing inside, even though you may not know what it is. It's your soul talking to you through your mind, the voice within telling you to stay cool, this is as good as it gets, so don't sweat it when you start feeling lonely, that nobody understands you. You're already living a great life compared to people with real problems. If you've got a roof over your head and aren't feeling any pain today, consider yourself lucky and don't get too deep about feeling lonely and alienated, because it should be a non-issue. Thank your lucky stars that you got life without pain and leave it at that. If you find a soulmate and a few friends you can connect with here and there, you're ahead of the game. Life is kind of like watching a movie by yourself in a cabin on a moving train with the door open, eventually headed one way down a dead-end cliff. People can come past, look in and check it out, but generally don't stay because they got their own movies in their own cabins which they like better, and the conductor, who represents the influences of the world, keeps shooing them away from the door anyway. So this is the way I see life. It's my movie, I'm the only one who can watch it and the only one who wants to watch it. People can check it out for a minute or two here and there, but they're off watching their own movies, and that's the way it really is, just like those existential philosophers said. If you're lucky, you might find a lover to share the cabin with you, but very few of us ever find true soulmates, somebody who will gladly share the same bed with us forevermore, love us unabashedly and fit like a second skin. This is mostly relegated to fantasies. Most couples live more like roommates rather than a constant, ongoing torrid love affair. We may connect here and there at intensities ranging from about 10 to 80% romantic intimacy, but very few of us get hot, intimate love and feelings at 90% all the time, or even once a week or once a month for that matter. You can act phony all you want and give off the impression that you're tight with some illusory, glamorous in-crowd somewhere, but in reality we're all little islands sailing through life alone, stuck in our own heads, unable to share them with anyone else. Great writers and poets occasionally break through and express what's really going on in the soul of man, but for the most part, We're all solo artists going through with a superficial exterior. People generally don't want to hear your life story because they got their own story to worry about and they just want easy time when they're with you, no miserable woe is me stuff or some deep psychobabble about the architecture of your soul. They just want a bit of ease, shooting the breeze for entertainment's sake, catching a buzz, maybe making love or having sex, then back to our solitary lives for a while. The eternal quest of man seems to be to fill the loneliness within somehow, to find connections, be it through creative work, the search for perfect love, or any of the many cheap illusions out there. People do all kinds of things to try to fill the emptiness, like fall in love, get married, have children, create all manner of gods, new age ideologies, liberal arts knowledge, pursue cheap thrills, hang out with fair weather friends, measure worth by what they own in the material world, where they are in the pecking order of the capitalist standard of the world, get addicted to something. But to me all these things are imposters. The most basic thing is to find your connection to your soul, work to make it strong and work out from there for your emotional connections, but never lose sight of the fact that your connection to your soul is always your base in life. Existential loneliness, guy on drugs. The following is a guy recounting an LSD experience online at alt.drugs. I realized how no two people have the same experiences in life and are probably never thinking the exact same thing. I became very pessimistic about love and subsequently friendships. We come into the world alone and leave it that way. I should depend on nobody except myself for happiness. I thought of my existentialism class and understood how pain/hurt and chaos were things to look forward to in life because they taught a lesson. I began crying and became very insecure. I ran to a friend's room and sat in the corner talking to them. I had to keep my back to the corner in the room so that I could see everyone there. I wouldn't let anyone touch me because the feeling of warm skin scared me and reminded me that people are individualized, in different bodies and thought processes. I had to keep touching the wall behind me to remind myself that I was against something concrete. I couldn't stop talking or else I'd be scared of being alone forever. I wasn't making coherent sense. I was making sentences but I couldn't finish them because my mind was cluttered with random thoughts. I thought of all my friends in the room and how I could no longer relate to them. I saw them as completely selfish, defensive, insecure, and followers, as opposed to leaders. They were all so shallow that they had to party and dance and have fun instead of having meaningful discussions. I left the room and went back. There was toilet paper everywhere, 20 rolls at least unleashed, and the record player was playing a record slower than normal speed so that it sounded very evil. Everyone there was crying or screaming or running out. I didn't care about anyone at the time. I felt that my friends were using me and didn't care about me. I saw through so many pretensions at that moment. I thought of past loves that had failed or had been unsuccessful and cried some more. Everyone was suddenly quiet and nobody would respond to me or look at me. Everyone was trapped in their own little world. I couldn't find anything I owned in the room, shoes, jacket, wallet, and I decided that I didn't want any physical/material possessions anymore. I was going to destroy all social conventions and be myself. We took a walk and had Japanese food. Came home, talked to some friends and went to sleep. Love and existentialism. You can't worship love and individuality in the same breath. D.H. Lawrence. Fill each other's cup but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone though they quiver with the same music. Khalil Gibran, the Prophet. When one is a stranger to oneself, then one is estranged from others too. And Maro Lindbergh. What it comes down to is that love is only a cover for some kind of underlying poverty of spirit, and the couple is a way one can be alone in the company of another person, occasional brief moments of blessed respite. Françoise Giraud, Women and Men, A Philosophical Conversation, 1993. In any event, love is the highest thing we humans have to shoot for. Lonely Ed. You will never be able to read someone else's mind, not even after 50 years of marriage. We're all conditioned to think that love is the be-all, end-all to a glorious, fulfilled proper life, and I think it's great if you can find it, but how many people actually get the glorious soulmate love they really want out of life? The fact that the odds are against finding great love should not and will not dissuade most people from looking for it. After all relationships at the beginning are a proclamation of hope for the future, and this is all us human beings have anyway, hope for the future. But my point is simply that there are other roads to the pursuit of a fulfilled life than just the one straight and narrow quest for romantic, spiritual, soulmate love. As a life explorer who went out looking for the elusive holy grail of life, I've found that love between most people is a transient thing, strong in the first 2 years or so, then gradually dissipating until they're either comfortable, passionless friends or strangers living in the same house. Granted, some people do get the strong love over a lifetime that dreams are made of, but most won't. They will get a certain percentage of love from their partner, like maybe about 50% of the ideal love affair they fantasized about, and they will either have to accept it or leave and try to find somebody who will love them for them, or stay single for a while to try to find happiness alone. Except for the few couples who truly love each other, it seems like there's always a trade-off with most couples who don't have strong loves but mild marriages of convenience. It could be worse, but it could be better. They're stuck halfway in some mundane, lukewarm, comfortable old shoes type of thing that's not blissful love. People thrive on new stimuli, and that's how the business machine makes money, by churning out all manner of products to keep the populace amused by buying all those shiny, meaningless novelties out there. Because of this, we have a society of people hooked on the fruits of capitalism, which comes down to frivolous things and the stuff on TV. Stated simply, even though we might need intimacy, computer, radio, and TV are great substitutes that give us a kind of pseudo-intimacy where we're connected to the people on the screen or the airwaves, or engrossed in the gadgets themselves, like video games, computer programming, the internet, shortwave radios, etc. Most people in the real world as interesting entities get metaphorically old real fast. We think they're dull, so we'd rather connect with our intimate strangers in the media or our friendly machines than bother with their dull conversations about their problems and little lives, so it's always new stimulation all the time through our technological toys. Connections with real people get lost in the shuffle as we seek to stimulate ourselves by media and consumerism, hence, personal relationships with everybody suffers as we give ourselves over to the mass media, pop culture machine over friendship and socializing with others in a meaningful way. Most people work, then go home and plug into technology, going out into the world less as they age. This is a natural part of existentialism. Seek to find enjoyment and fulfillment for yourself because it's your ride alone in your head anyway. But whereas in the past, a couple could be with each other without too many distractions, nowadays, we have so many technological and pop culture entertainment distractions that couples would often rather be off doing their own things than spending time with each other. An acquaintance of mine did a doctorate in a field called family life education, after which she got a job designing premarital programs and counseling couples, and one of the major things she said she talked about was that the cultural and religious indoctrination about the two becoming one in marriage is a myth, because we're still alone, stuck in our heads, different by virtue of our neural wiring and the way we were brought up. So according to her, there is no such a thing as true soulmates over a lifetime. There will always be differences and disagreements between people. People will always want to be alone to do their own thing for a while. An example she gave me was the Christmas tradition. Most couples have different ideas on how to celebrate Christmas and spend their holiday time. The 1989 movie Shirley Valentine may appear corny to some, but to me, it was a great lesson about life. This woman sought happiness by pursuing love and family, but when it never satisfied her, she went to a Greek island and had an affair. But that wasn't what gave her true happiness. It was a feeling that she felt good and free inside because she discovered what was good and right for her, and only after that was she really able to appreciate love for what it was, even with all its limits. If you want deep loving connections with at least one other person, much less several, you have to connect with each other intimately all the time, mean it, talk about deep things and try to understand each other over and above living to honor your soul, which is your most basic level of a base in your life. Most people don't have the amount of soul and love to be happy, so they're like flowers in the wind, going every which way to try to fill the emptiness within, but not slowing down enough to be real about it and try to get a realistic grasp of these two things with temperance. People desperately need intimate connections to fill up their feelings of aloneness in the world, but no matter what you do, you can't fit like a second skin with anybody. Everybody has an agenda and problems different from you, everybody goes their own way, so warm, soppy feelings with loved ones come and go, there's no permanence there, it's still you alone having to be your own base even if you're the most loved and worshipped person on the planet. It's great to feel needed and support your wife and kids, but where is the point where you're destroying your own identity while helping to turn them into dependent, helpless, manipulative flakes just using you? Too much assistance makes the benefactors lazy and arrogant, growing to expect it, not showing appreciation. Watch people to see how they're all looking for warm, intimate connections, and see how desperate many are to be a part of something greater than themselves, so much that they sacrifice their own individuality to get that feeling of comfort, but ultimately it's always temporary. What happens when you invest all your energy into your lover or your kids and they either die, divorce, or leave, as all kids eventually do? Get beyond dependency to have your own base within, and you will find an inner strength and happiness that very few people have, to be totally free to see the world for what it really is and seek out love as a positive thing to add to the happiness you already feel within, not as a neurotic thing you need to fill up some emptiness within you. Millions of people seek out romantic love to fill themselves up, then have kids, but don't understand why they still feel empty, so they get divorced or seek out other things to try to fill themselves up, like booze, golf, or extramarital sex, when the solution is simple: live out a free lifestyle until you reach a point where you understand your life, then move on and explore romantic love if you want, but never lose sight of the fact that your first loyalty is to your soul, which is your own personal battle within, of peace of mind and inspiration versus loss of self, knowing what you have to do to stay inspired and stable in an otherwise mundane, cruel world. Even when you fall in love, you still need a good grip of yourself as your base before you can be a great lover. We can't get away from the fact that we're all blobs of flesh caught up in our minds with our own agendas, our own problems and our own fantasies, so I've made peace with my existential loneliness and live by Kipling's lines from his great poem If you can walk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, the fantasy of love and sex vs. real life, I can resist everything but temptation. Oscar Wilde. All young men greatly exaggerate the difference between one young woman and another. George Bernard Shaw. He told her he loved her for her mind, until he found out that sex was the furthest thing from it. I was listening to a radio show on CBC, cbc.ca, Writers and Company, where they were talking about the life and times of Edith Wharton from the 1870s to the 1930s. She wrote Age of Innocence, which was made into a big-time movie by a famous director. The thing that struck me about the discussion is that one of her biographers talked about this secret room Edith had. It was her fantasy world and cravings. She didn't have satisfying deep relationships with the men in her life like most women. She wanted more, some mythical lover who would be everything to her, a soulmate. So the bottom line is that despite being an in-crowder with the cultural elite in France where she lived, she always felt a sense of existential loneliness. It's kinda like Welcome to the Real World. Despite all the pretenses about life floating around out there in the cultural milieu where everything is epic, intense and great, we are what we are. We live in a small geographical area where life is pretty much the same every day except for what we as individuals create, mostly alone in our own minds. Why do people read fiction, particularly women? They want to reach this fantasy feeling they crave for in their secret room. It's simple. Most women have functional husbands, but these men usually don't come close to matching the woman's needs and desires in her secret room. As a guy, I have romantic fantasies too, but the truth is that I have way more sexual fantasies. That's every man's secret room, his sex fantasies. I think it's the testosterone coursing through our veins. I can't help it. It's who I am, an untamed slut, at least in the privacy of my mind, but if you talk to me in a generic social context you'd never know it because I'm civilized. I wear my pro-social face when I'm out amongst social company. Testosterone is the sex hormone for both men and women, but men have a lot more of it. Solomon had a total of 1,500 wives and concubines, but according to the Song of Songs in the Bible he wasn't happy until he fell in love with the Queen of Sheba. I wonder how he dealt with his sexual thoughts and fantasies after that. They were still there. This is the big rift for men. How do you deal with your sexual thoughts after you get married? One woman can't possibly satisfy all your sexual whims even if she is the most creative, sensual woman around. Men have to purge their sexual energy. Some women have to too. You can't expect anyone to stop releasing their sexual energy on their own through self-pleasuring after they marry. Men have way too much sexual energy to purge just with their girl exclusively. Some Christian women say men who use pornography and go to strip bars are cheating on them. You have to live in real world. We each have secret rooms inside of us that no one will ever know. You have to live and let live. Most people will not get the great fantasy soulmate love they want in life. Just be thankful for what you got and live day by day. The mass media, pop culture world has destroyed us with these super perfect fantasies of an ideal life, but life doesn't really work that way. It's imperfect and goes along day after day based on how you create it. It's not a perfect picture frozen in time. You don't reach a certain state of life where you have X number of kids or make X amount of money where everything will be perfect. Life is created every day. The secret room is just one part of it. Accept it, honor it, but give most of your energy to the real world you're living in. Existential loneliness, a relationship might not solve it. It's all fun and until you hit that old lonely feeling. You have to decide if you're happy alone and whether a relationship can fill up that feeling of loneliness. Some people call it existential loneliness. Everybody is alone anyway. Most relationships aren't bang-on soulmate relationships, so watch what you want. It might not be all it's cracked up to be. Suppose you marry and it goes sour. Now you're really screwed. Chapter 5. A Loneliness Idea Guide. Deal with loneliness at optimistminds.com/how-to-deal-with-loneliness. Your moods change. How can you feel better when you are down? Loneliness is sadness. Loneliness is a feeling that can consume someone. Some of us feel lonely while they are alone and there is no one around them, while others feel lonely when they are surrounded by many people. Loneliness is a feeling of abandonment. Notice your thought pattern. The first thing you need to understand how to deal with loneliness is the fact that it is all in your head. You are going to receive from your thoughts whatever you are feeding to your mind. Notice your self-defeating thoughts and how you are affected by these thoughts. It is just a feeling. Loneliness is a painful feeling and that's why it gets our attention. It becomes an even bigger problem if you dwell on it. Support group. Find some other people who are just like you. Share your experience with people who are going through the same things as you. Reach out. Seek social support. Don't let yourself drown into the feeling of isolation and self-doubt. You can cultivate new friendships and be better with your older friends. Be kind. Offer love, generosity, and kindness to the people around you. You don't know what people are going through in their life, so be kind. Be kind to yourself and others. Go out. Make healthy connections and promote healthy interaction with friends. Make an effort to reach out to others. Start a conversation with someone, even it is a virtual connection like FaceTiming or Skyping. Pay more attention to the people around you than your own toxic thoughts. Coping with Loneliness at cmha.ca/brochure/coping-with-loneliness. Thinking of suicide. 1-833-456-4566 toll free. In QC, 1-866-277-3553. Crisis Services Canada.ca. Loneliness can come up whenever we feel alone, unwanted, or isolated. Loneliness can come up when we're around a lot of people but feel like we don't quite fit in. We're around a lot of people but don't receive the support or connection we're looking for. We lose an important person in our life, like a partner, family member, or close friend. We're alone and want to be with others. Seek social support. There is no right or wrong social network. Find social circles, friends, and relationships. Loneliness can create more loneliness. When you challenge feelings of loneliness or start to make changes in your life, the cycle of loneliness thinking starts to break down. Ask yourself why you feel lonely. Do you feel lonely because you don't have others around you? Do you isolate yourself from others? Do you feel lonely even when you're with others? Avoid comparing yourself to others. It's easy to look at other people and feel left out, but appearances can be deceiving. People want others to see their best side, but don't be fooled by the message others show the outside world. Social media in particular can make people feel like everyone but them is surrounded by friends, but it is a controlled snapshot. It's common to feel lonely during transitions like starting at a new school, moving to a new city, or starting or leaving a job. Whenever you're going through a transition, it can take some time to settle in and find your new place. Think about what else is going on. How you're feeling in other parts of your life may add to feelings of loneliness. For example, mental health problems like depression or social anxiety can bring up a lot of difficult thoughts that make it easier to avoid social situations. Take advantage of time you'll be alone. Time alone may be an opportunity to pursue a hobby, learn a new skill, or connect with nature. Think about the types of relationships you want. If you're looking for support and understanding around something specific, look for related groups or organizations. Use your interests or skills to your advantage, join a sports team, take a course, or join a club to meet people who already share your interests. Take it slow. Building confidence is an ongoing process. Give yourself manageable challenges. Be active and patient. It takes time to build relationships. It can be a bit scary at first, but try to initiate conversations or suggest opportunities to spend time with others. Accept that you won't be everyone's friend. You probably don't get along with everyone you meet, and some people may not get along with you. This isn't a reflection of your value or worth. Aim for healthy relationships. If you find that you are the one who isn't heard in your relationships, building assertiveness skills can help you articulate your needs respectfully. Is there something standing between you and the relationships or activities you'd like to pursue? For example, childcare can be a barrier for new parents, and transportation or mobility concerns may be a barrier for older adults. Build family relationships. If you have a helpful and supportive relationship with family members, think of ways to increase connections. Loneliness that persists can be linked to depression, anxiety, and increased risk of other health problems. Canadian Mental Health Association, National. 250, Dundas Street. West, Suite 500 Toronto, on M5T2Z5. 416-646-5557. info@cmha.ca. cmha.ca/find-help/find-cmha-in-your-area. Deal with loneliness at fingerprintforsuccess.com/blog/how-to-deal-with-loneliness. While there's no universally agreed definition, Wikipedia is a good start. Loneliness is an unpleasant emotional response to perceived isolation. Loneliness is also described as social pain, a psychological mechanism which motivates individuals to seek social connections. It is often associated with an unwanted lack of connection and intimacy. It's important to differentiate it from solitude, or going solo, which are voluntary conditions. Loneliness is the negative emotion we experience when we're getting less social connection than we want or need. It's common between all of us, something everyone feels at some point, like hunger or thirst, and we can usually fix it by seeking social connection. Problems arise, though, when it's a repeated or ongoing condition. Some of the other more notable causes of loneliness include new schools, new cities, new jobs, new relationships, etc. Working from home is a potential cause of loneliness, and that's going to need increasing research as some companies shift to hybrid models, some on-premise work, some remote work. If you are already feeling lonely, don't attempt to go out and interact with people and try new things. Your personality can become increasingly isolationist, which will lead you to feel more lonely. It's a bad circle to get caught in. But some people are natural introverts, or don't need the energy of other people to thrive day in and day out. That said, human beings are social animals, and most studies with hospice nurses, here's a good one, show that people at the end of their life crave more relationships and friendships, not more work or tasks or projects. Consider some of your interests and hobbies, and see if there's a local group dedicated to them. Consider becoming a member of online communities. Go on dates if you're single. Make a plan, stick to it. Write it out on your phone so you always have it. What will you join? Who will you reach out to? Remote workers feel lonely. Loneliness statistics have revealed that loneliness can increase the amount of cortisol, often known as the stress hormone, circulating through the body, putting stress on the immune system and increasing the risk of a range of illnesses. A meta-analysis published in the International Journal of Social Psychiatry studied 88 different studies on the topic and found that loneliness has a moderately significant effect on depression. How to combat loneliness? Simple terms: be employed and work hard. First, consider your feelings and background and what drives your feelings of loneliness. Second, create a plan. Third, be consistent. Cope with loneliness at verywellmind.com/how-to-cope-with-loneliness-31444939. Virtually everyone experiences loneliness from time to time. The feeling can be especially noticeable around the holidays, Valentine's Day, and times of extreme stress. A study published in Lancet Psychiatry found associations between loneliness and depressive symptoms in a group of adults 50 years old and older. Join a class or club. Volunteer. Find support online. Strengthen existing relationships. Adopt a pet. Talk to strangers. Practice self-care. Keep busy. Chapter 6. A Loneliness Website Guide 1. Free loneliness articles at campaigntoendloneliness.org/resources. Many articles. Loneliness websites 1. There are few books about loneliness at #158.2 at the library. The Christians seem to deal with it most. Christian books are at #200-289 at the library. A few colleges offer loneliness counseling to their students as well as brochures on the subject, but everybody else is afraid of it. Web of Loneliness. webofloneliness.com. Web of Loneliness Institute. Someone to talk to, online therapy, free counseling. 7cupsoftea.com. webofloneliness.com/the-lonely-blog. Helpful links: Campaign to End Loneliness. campaigntoendloneliness.org/helpful-links. Resources for older adults experiencing loneliness. socialworkly-senzemap.com/blog/social-isolation-resources-older-adults. Loneliness, Every Mind Matters, NHS. nhs.uk/every-mind-matters/lives-challenges/loneliness. On Loneliness and Aloneness. krishnamurticenter.org/loneliness-aloneness-2022. Loneliness, Causes and Health Consequences. verywellmind.com. Loneliness websites 2. annabelle.net/topics/solitude-loneliness.php. at health.com/consumers/disorders/childloneliness.html. azcentral.com/health/wellness/articles/1207 while1207.html. bradley.edu/edv/cwc/loneliness page.html. birevia.com/main/loneliness.htm, campusblues.com, cbn.com/spirituallife/teachings/loneliness.asp, christianmirror.com/loneliness.htm, chronicle.uchicago.edu/00817/loneliness.shtml, counseling.txstate.edu/bro/loneliness.htm, counseling.umd.edu/self-help/sh_elonly.htm, counseling.cam.ac.uk/lonely.html, crossroad.to/bible_studies/sermons/devotions/loneliness.htm, kurtdelaba.blogspot.com/2005/12/loneliness.html, cyberparent.com/men/loneliness males men men lon ely.htm, datingdiversions.com/lq.html, loneliness quotient, despair.com/loneliness.html, diandiu.com/lonellens.htm, Christian, deimagine.com/page5.html, disabilities and loneliness, divorceinfo.com/loneliness.htm, dundee.ac.uk/counseling/leaflets/lonely.htm, educationamerica.com/article webpages/devero.loneliness.htm, en.wikipedia.org/wiki/loneliness, everything2.com, family.org, faqs.org/faqs/support/loneliness/welcome, guidance.gospelcom.net/loneliness.htm, guidetopsychology.com, hopeway.org/lifehelp/loneliness.asp, iamnext.com/people/lonely.html, intouch.org/exploring/promises/loneliness_94057.html, jmm.aaa.net.au/articles/11367.htm, Christian, kidsource.com/kidsource/content5/lone.young.child.html, lhmint.org/loneliness, livescience.com/humanbiology/0603331_loneliness.html, loneliness and health, loneliness.canalblog.com, mckinley.uiuc.edu/handouts/loneliness.html, mdma.net/miscellaneous/loneliness.html, mentalhelp.net/scihelp/chap6/chap6m.htm, mind.org.uk, minibyte.com/heartache, needhim.org, 800 need him, abundant living line, reachout.com.au, runningempty.org/loneliness.html, scionofzion.com/loneliness.htm, seegod.org/loneliness.htm, selfknowledge.com/56028.htm, slr.org/breakgrip.php, break the grip of loneliness, socialreport.msd.government.nz/social-connectedness/loneliness.html, soon.org.uk/problem/lonely.htm, spiritualitytoday.org, ssu.uts.edu.au/counseling/self/loneliness.html, stoploneliness.com, studentaffairs.cmu.edu/counseling/documents/lonely.htm, sundaiemorningsistas.org/loneliness.htm, supportline.org.uk/problem/loneliness.php, technoworthy.com/tag/loneliness, uihealthcare.com/topics, unmeritedamerica.org/spectrum/bibliography rafi/loneliness-and-solitude.htm, utdallas.edu/counseling/self-help/loneliness.html, vuw.ac.nz/st_services/counseling/concern/loneliness.aspx warwick.ac.uk/services/tutors/counseling/information leaflets/loneliness web-of-loneliness.com willygocrazy.org/ch0605.htm Chapter 7 A Loneliness Website Guide to Loneliness Websites at campaigntoendloneliness.org/helpful-links General The British Red Cross 0808196365 Sense provides a range of advice, support, and services on disability and loneliness. 0300330925 sense.org.uk/get-in-touch/contact-information-and-advice. Sense provides a range of advice, support, and services on disability and loneliness. Cruise.org.uk, Cruise Bereavement Support offers bereavement support. 080888081677. familylives.org.uk/how-we-can-help/confidential-helpline. Family Lives offers a confidential helpline service for families in England and Wales. 080888002222. TheComZone.net. ComZone is a helpline and web chat offering support to men in the UK who need to talk or are in crisis. 0800585858. Samaritans.org. 116-123. Older People. TheSilverline.org.uk, The Silver Line for information, advice, or just for a chat, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Helpline 080040708090. ageuk.org.uk, Age UK, support and advice for older people. Helpline 080016966565. Independentage.org, Independent Age, providing befriending services. Helpline 080031966789. royalvoluntaryservice.org.uk, Royal Voluntary Service for help, advice, and support. Helpline 084560800122. Fote.org.uk, Friends of the Elderly for year-round support or call 033033211110. Reengage.org.uk/about-us, Reengage for year-round support or call 0800716543. Young People. youngminds.org.uk/find-help/get-urgent-help, Young Minds Crisis Messenger for free, 24/7 support across the UK if you are experiencing a mental health crisis. Text EAM to 85258. youngminds.org.uk/find-help/get-urgent-help, Young Minds also offers a parents helpline on 080880255544. Supportline.org.uk, Supportline, or call them on 01708765200. Childline.org.uk/get-support, Childline, or call them on 08001111 for a 1-2-1 chat with a counselor. Useful resources. The British Red Cross. redcross.org.uk/loneliness-resources. Independent Age. independentage.org/information/advice-guides-fact-sheets-leaflets/if-you're-feeling lonely. When They Get Older. When They Get Older.co.uk/downloads. Loneliness websites at socialworkly-sense-emap.com/blog/social-isolation-resources-older-adults. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. cdc.gov/aging/publications/features/lonely-older-adults.html. 1/3 of adults over 45 say they are lonely and 1/4 of those over 65 are socially isolated. nap.edu/catalog/25636/social-isolation-in-older-adults-opportunities-for-the social isolation increases the risk of dementia by 50%. AmericaPS.gov/serve/AmericaPS-seniors, AmeriCorps Seniors Program, matches adults 55 and older with volunteer opportunities that match their abilities and interests. ACL.gov/commit-to-connect, Commit-to-Connect program, provides access to services for older adults and people with disabilities experiencing social isolation. DiverseElders.org, Diverse Elders Coalition, advocates on issues to improve the lives of older adults in communities of color and in the LGBTQ+ community. Eldercare.acl.gov/public/index.aspx, Eldercare Locator, connects older adults and their families with support services ranging from caregiving to transportation. FriendToFriendAmerica.org, Friend to Friend America, pairs older adults with trained volunteers to provide companionship and build strong social connections. ioaging.org/services/all-inclusive-health-care/friendship-line, Institute on Aging Friendship Line, provides ongoing outreach calls to older adults experiencing loneliness, as well as a crisis line for people struggling with feelings of social isolation or mental health issues. LittleBrothers.org, Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly, offers long-term companionship to older adults through visits from the organization's volunteers. NCOA.org, the National Council on Aging, helps Americans age with dignity by providing information and resources for older adults, caregivers, professionals, and advocates. EnagingOlderAdults.org, National Resource Center for Engaging Older Adults, highlights strategies for keeping older adults active and socially engaged through articles, webinars and other resources. LGBTagingCenter.org, National Resource Center on LGBT Aging, advocates for improving the quality of services offered to LGBTQ+ older adults and provides resources for individuals and their families. SageUSA.org/SageConnect, SageConnect, pairs volunteers with older adults who are LGBTQ+ for regular phone or video calls to reduce social isolation. NCBA-aging.org, the National Caucus and Center on Black Aging Incorporated, addresses issues related to improving the lives of all older adults, with a focus on how race and income level can create additional disparities. Senior websites. healthinaging.org/age-friendly-healthcare-u/care-mind, Care for the Mind, provides resources categorized by issue, including anxiety, depression, and dementia, to help older adults and their families identify solutions for care and lifestyle management. agingcare.com/articles/loneliness-in-the-elderly-151549.htm, Combating the Epidemic of Loneliness in Seniors, explains the potential effects of loneliness and provides tips for avoiding social isolation in older adults. PsychCentral.com/lib/coping-with-loneliness-tips-for-seniors Coping with Loneliness, Tips for Seniors, Activities and Hobbies that can help older adults combat social isolation. nia.nih.gov/health/exercise-physical-activity, Go for Life Physical Activities, highlights resources from the National Institute on Aging for how older adults can stay engaged through physical activities and exercise. Today.com/health/how-avoid-loneliness-during-see-ovid-socially-active-t186719, How to Avoid Elderly Loneliness During COVID, Tips to Stay Socially Active, advice from an 86-year-old therapist on how older adults can maintain social connections during the COVID-19 pandemic. aginginplace.org/how-to-volunteer-as-a-senior, How to Volunteer as a Senior, Tips how older adults can find volunteer activities that meet their needs and interests. aginginplace.org/how-to-volunteer-as-a-senior, Seniorlink.com/blog/my-loved-is-lonely-how-can-I-help, my loved one is lonely, how can I help, strategies for helping a friend or family member who is experiencing loneliness. nia.nih.gov/health/loneliness-social-isolation-tips-staying-connected, loneliness and social isolation tips for staying connected, explains the connection between staying socially connected and maintaining physical health and offers solutions for older adults to address feelings of loneliness and social isolation. aginginplace.org/6-things-to-do-when-with-loneliness-at-and-old-age, 6 things to do when dealing with loneliness at an old age, actions older adults can take to feel connected, remain positive, and maintain health and happiness. carepatrol.com/blog/solutions-for-isolation-in-older-adults-during-COVID-19-_AE275.html, solutions for isolation and loneliness in older adults during COVID-19, how to reduce social isolation during the pandemic, including physical activity, creative hobbies, and alternative ways to socialize. aplsfrmom.com/caregiver-resources/articles/combat-senior-isolation, 10 things you can do today to combat senior isolation, action friends and family members of older adults can take to help address loneliness and social isolation. aarp.org/relationships/family/info-09-2010/loneliness-or-depression.html, Understanding Loneliness, an interview with author John T. Cacioppo, Ph.D., on the effects of chronic loneliness and how older individuals can avoid feeling socially isolated. Senior websites for connecting through technology. aarp.org. seniorplanet.org/stuck-at-home-guide-get-online, Stuck at Home Guide, How to Get Online, focuses on the basics for people without an internet connection, including how to find an affordable internet service. seniorsguide.com/technology/the-best-zoom-games-for-older-adults, the 6 best Zoom games for older adults, games older adults can play with friends and families during video calls. enagingolderadults.org/ways-to-create-connections-using-technology, ways to create connections using technology, activities older adults can enjoy online to stay connected with loved ones and engage in their personal interests. onlinecenters-network.org/site/your_guide_to-helping_older-people_use_the_internet.pdf, your guide to helping older people use the internet, PDF, 1.8 megabytes robust strategies loved ones of older adults can use to more effectively teach various internet tasks. Loneliness websites at housinglyn.org.uk/underscore assets/resources/housing/support_materials/practice_briefing/hlyn_briefing_loneliness-ac.pdf. housingllyn.org.uk/topics/browse/loneliness-and-isolation. Age UK. ageuk.org.uk. Age UK offers support and information on the topic of loneliness. Age Scotland. ageuk.org.uk/scotland/what-we-do/tackling loneliness/community-connecting. Campaign to End Loneliness.org/loneliness-research. The Center for Aging Better. Independent Age. The Joe Cox Foundation. joecoxfoundation.org/loneliness_directory. Let's talk loneliness. Mind. Mind has a dedicated page to managing loneliness. The Older People's Commissioner for Wales. Aging Well in Wales. agingwellinwales.com/n/resource-hub/lee-resources. Re-engage. Samaritans. Science. Science has a page dedicated to loneliness and isolation resources. The Silver Line.
U3A.
U3A is a UK-wide movement which brings together people in their third age. Their project #LearningNotLonely contains research that details sustainable and positive approaches to aging.